Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the OVMA Career Connections Series. We are so proud to continue our series today with the Philadelphia Eagles. Today's session is an exciting one. It is my pleasure to introduce Colleen um, Scholes, Talent Acquisition Manager with the Philadelphia Eagles. Colleen leads the talent acquisition efforts for one of the most recognized and competitive organizations in professional sports. In her role, she oversees recruiting strategy, identifies high impact talent, and helps build the team behind the team across operations, business, marketing, HR, and more. Based at the Jefferson Health Complex, um, complex in Philadelphia, she plays a critical role in shaping the workforce that supports a championship caliber organization. For our students today, particularly those who have served or are serving, today's conversation is especially valuable. The NFL and the professional sports industry are highly competitive, fast paced, and mission driven environments. Success requires discipline, adaptability, teamwork, and leadership. Qualities our military connected students know all too well. During this session, Colleen will share insight into career pathways within the Philadelphia Eagles, talent acquisition and recruiting strategies, postgraduate and seasonal associate opportunities, how to prepare for competitive roles in sports, and translating your military experience into a strong, compelling candidacy. I encourage you to listen actively, think about how your experience translates into this industry, and to prepare thoughtful questions for our question and answers at the end. If you do, however, have some questions, you can always drop them in the chat. Colleen, we're grateful for your participation today and for taking time to invest in our students. The floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And I'm just, my son, hold on, my daughter's picking my son up. So I just literally got that text as you shot it over.
No worries.
Um, okay. So thank you so much for having me. Hold on. Can we get him now? Always the perfect timing. Anyway, this is really good timing for me because we're actually doing our largest volume of entry-level hiring next week. So I'm about to post about 24 jobs. Well, it's actually 24 postings, but more jobs than that, probably like 32 or so. So I think this is great, opportunity for me to just kind of share a little bit about us with you, what we're about. Um, what we look for. And then, since it's a small group, I do want to kind of have it to be an open discussion at some point. So I will go through some slides, but I do feel we're just kind of talking at people for a long time. So, but definitely want to answer whatever I can and, hope to make some meaningful connections from this. I am always looking for opportunities to try to see how, we can transition military service members over sports because I know that there's an amazing skill set and just, all kinds of great qualities that come with being a service member. So, that's something that we want to bring to our organization if we can. And so, yeah, happy to share whatever I can. So I've been the talent acquisition manager with the Eagles since 2010, so a long time. I started my career in recruiting through executive search, doing just, like pharmaceutical VP level opportunities and above, and then wanted to just kind of transition to a more of a corporate recruiting role where I was helping to support my own team in-house. And so moved to the fitness industry, was able to make some great connections through that opportunity, and received a call from a previous supervisor that they were looking for a recruiter. And that was, yeah, more than enough for me to just say, I'm coming. So I've been here ever since. Eagles is a great place to work. It is a large, well, not large, I would say it's a medium-sized organization, maybe 300 or so full-time front office staff, and probably less than that actually. But a professional organization that requires the same departments as any other company. We have marketing, sales, video, audio, you name it, digital asset management, all different kinds of positions keep us going and help support the team. So, when we're looking at talent, we're not necessarily looking for the biggest sports fan, the biggest Eagles fan. We're looking for quality skilled professionals that love what they do. And so I'm going to share a couple slides and just give kind of an overview of our process and our organization, and we'll get started. Let's see. Right. Okay, so just a little bit about our culture. Um, we are really big on supporting our community. I think having a platform like an NFL team is really, it's a lot of power that comes with that. You're able to do a lot of positive things. And so that's something that we're dedicated to. We look for people that value giving back to the community. Part of who we are is just not just being a football team, but supporting the greater Philadelphia area. And, as we try to reach out internationally as well to some of our fans across the globe, just have an impact overall that's positive. I feel like I skipped some slides here, so let me just. Okay, well, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our virtual development series. It's something that we have to help educate people that are looking to maybe transition to sports and don't know how or don't know enough about how we operate as a team. All the teams are run differently. There's a lot of similarities between how, let's say, our front office runs and maybe like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the Ravens. And so during COVID, we wanted to continue to stay connected with talented people for when we did start hiring again. So we came up with this virtual series, and we accept 40 participants for business and 40 for football each year. It's like an application process like you would for a job. If you're accepted into the program, you get to log on for an hour each week and learn from a different department. So I wanted to share this because actually we did open up the series to, like, we have a graduation requirement. Like, you have to have been graduating the last like 2 years or an upcoming grad. But if you're a military service member, you're open. It doesn't matter. You can apply and be considered because we do, value that as part of the series. So we are actually starting our first week of the series for this year next week. So football is a separate group of people. They focus on departments like sports medicine, physical therapy, or physical training, strength and conditioning, player personnel, player development, analytics. Each week is a different department, and they get to interact directly with those hiring managers. So it's a great way for the participants to learn a little bit about who we are, what our managers look for, what we do in each department. We post that in December, and it usually takes place in March. So something to keep in mind for next year. The seasonal associate program is what I was referring to when I was talking about the high volume hiring that we're doing next week. So it's kind of replaced our postgraduate internships. They're full-time hours for the duration of the season. So our season could be 10 months long. It could be, shorter, longer. Obviously, the better we do as a football team, the further we go, which, we've been really lucky the last couple of years to have nice long seasons. So they're full-time paid opportunities. And here, there's a little bit more information here. Positions are all on site, so they're all based in Philadelphia. They require working game days, but they're very specific to different departments. So when I mentioned that I have at least 24 postings going up, each posting is a different opportunity with very different responsibilities. We're going to be looking for an audio seasonal associate, so they're going to want someone that has, audio experience, graphic design, corporate activation, marketing. It really runs the gamut across different departments on the business side. So it's actually really great for those that are graduating this May, or if you graduated last year, or if you have completed your military service if you've been discharged from the military within the last 18 months from when the position would start, which is usually in the summer. And then, if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer. But this is a great opportunity to be immersed in a specific department within a sports front office. About 30% of our current staff started in positions within the seasonal associate program. So the HR director in my department started as an intern in 2007. Our senior director of corporate activation started as an intern in 2007. And I think our VP of football communications started the same year. They were like a great group of interns, obviously. But I mean, this just shows you that there's a really progressive career path that this can lead to. If there isn't a full-time opportunity available when your seasonal associate role ends, we do our best to try to help, connect you with other teams, other brands, if you were, a good performer. So last week I actually held, or it was earlier this week, I held a development session for our current seasonals with my connections at other teams like the Buccaneers, the Ravens, the Cardinals, Turnkey Sports. I did a session with them for networking tips and just to connect them with some other HR people so that they can apply to their jobs as well in case we don't have anything for them. So we really do try to take care of everyone, if they've worked hard for us. Yeah, so it's just a little bit about that. The pay rate this year will be $19 an hour for the seasonal associates. Um, and these are just like the general education requirements, like I mentioned. You need to be on site in Philadelphia. You need to have, a lot of them require some experience, maybe through academic internships, or maybe if you've gotten some similar transferable experience through the military. All of the specific descriptions are, for the most part, on our website. In a seasonal associate brochure. So if you go to philadelphiaeagles.com and scroll all the way to the bottom, there's an employment opportunity section, and there's a seasonal associate brochure. This is, for the most part, like I said, most of our entry level hiring is through this program. We do throughout the year have some academic internships through our ticket and fan services department. It's just not as many. It's not as high volume. We also hire game day staff throughout the year if you're looking for something part-time to kind of get some experience working for a sports team. It's obviously only working game days. So these are some of the benefits our seasonal associates get. So we've actually, added to this over the years. If you are outside of the area, you are provided with $1,000 stipend to help with relo. We don't have we don't have a designated end time for the position because we don't know how the season will play out. Like I said, we obviously went and won the Super Bowl last year, which was amazing, which means our seasonal associates had a very long season. And then they got to go to the Super Bowl, which was really cool. So I can tell you this also gives an overview of some of the amazing perks of just working for our organization. So the Jefferson Health Training Complex is where training camp takes place. It's where most of the front office departments are. And we have an amazing cafeteria. It is free breakfast, free lunch, all you can eat. It's all the food the players are eating. It's amazing. I think that's amazing benefit because I like food. But we have lots of opportunities to get involved with the community. We actually do a lot just throughout the year supporting different organizations in the city. One of my favorite days is the playground build. Our community relations department runs it. A school is chosen each year in the city. We go, the whole office shuts down. We redo the playground. Like they bring in a whole new playground structure. We're all painting the school. We do murals, landscaping. The players come, they paint with the kids. It's a great day. And then the school has a new playground when we leave. It's one of my favorite days of the year. So, you have opportunities to make that kind of impact when you work for the Eagles. And so, yeah, we have access to the team gym, which is kind of nice. And we are in Philadelphia, but it's a secured parking lot. So I know, like, if you work in the city, that's something that some people worry about. Like, where do I park? Do I have to pay for parking? You don't have to pay for lunch. You don't have to pay for breakfast or parking. So those actually add up quite a bit over the year. I'm just going to go a little bit over the academic internships because we do offer some, just not that many. So for the Ticket and Fan Services Department, they offer academic internships throughout the year. So that's kind of listed here, just usually around when we post and how long they run. They're unpaid, but you must be able to earn academic credit. So you obviously must be a current student. They're also on site. You need to be able to get to the stadium, and they require working game days. All right. And I can share these slides, obviously, for after, if anyone wants this information as far as like the dates and everything, so that you know when to look at our website for the openings. Just going to go over our hiring process a little bit. These are some of the places where we post and some of the resources that we use. Greenhouse is our applicant tracking system. So all of the positions that we're posting next week are loaded into Greenhouse. Once they are published, they automatically go to our website. They go to Indeed, LinkedIn. So it's all coming from the same place. We're tracking all of our applicants in the same system. I also cross-post to handshake.com. I believe Syracuse is on Handshake, correct? Yeah, I think it is. But if it's not,
Yeah, that's
correct me. Oh,
correct.
thank you, Ron. Right. And then, yeah, so as resources as far as like helping to feed our seasonal associate candidates or entry-level candidates, the series that we run has been a great resource for us because those are people that are interested in sports. They make some connections, they apply to our positions, and they already have a connection with a lot of the managers once they finish the series. We also work with Campus Philly. They're a partner of ours. They're a nonprofit based in Philly that their whole mission of their organization is to keep students in the area working in the area. So we partner with them on different things. And then I try to do some career fairs throughout the year, just, like in person, virtual. We are lean as an organization. So I don't know if you've gone on our website and you go to team and front office, and every position and department is listed. So I'm doing all the career fairs, I'm doing all the recruiting, I'm doing all the scheduling of candidates most of the time, scheduling travel. So, some other like a Johnson and Johnson has a dedicated person just to go and connect with colleges throughout the year and visit campuses and go to different career fairs. It's very time consuming. Honestly, like if for someone like me to try to I'd have been kind of spread thin if I did that every day. I did go to a career fair yesterday, which is why I kind of lost my voice. But I do try to, try out some different events each year and make connections. So when you apply to our organization, and again, we're going to be posting a lot of openings on Monday. You'll see them pop up on our website or LinkedIn, and then you'll complete an application through Greenhouse. If it's a position like graphic design or audio, it may ask for a portfolio or samples of work. And then if your application is reviewed and approved by the hiring manager, you'll be asked to complete an on-demand interview. So that is, has anyone here done an on-demand interview before? Raise your hand. No? Okay. Well, it's good that we're learning about this now. So, the on-demand interview is our way of just like the first initial screen. Instead of doing a phone screen, I actually used to, phone screen every single candidate. We have so many openings and so many candidates that this has been a more efficient way for us to make sure everyone's getting the same consistent interview for the first step. So I record myself asking the questions on video, or managers, for the departments that the position they're hiring for will do it. The candidates log on to a link that they're sent if they're, taken to this next step, and they record their answers. So they have to do it, within 7 days of receiving it. So they record their answers. So we get to review the video, gives us an idea of how they present themselves with a grain of salt, obviously, because it's a little awkward to talk to a computer screen. But it's a consistent way for us to interview candidates. And then we are able to share that interview with multiple departments, which is great. So we keep those on file. I can look up if someone's, interviewed with us before. I can review, since some of the questions are the same for some of the interviews. I can just review all their information and we keep it on file. The next step after the on-demand interview is a digital live interview. We do it through HireVue, but it's similar to doing a Zoom or a Teams. Sometimes it's with a panel of managers, sometimes it's with one or two. We don't do the panel to be overwhelming, but we do it just to try to be efficient also because, because we're of the size that we are, of not being like overwhelmingly large, there's a lot of interaction amongst the different departments. And so, it's really important that everyone kind of gets involved and gets to know the candidates. Then we do reference checks and then verbal and written offer, which, is pretty much standard across most organizations. So here is how you could stand out in the crowd. Keep your resume and your profile updated. So, if you have a new I know that sometimes I'll talk to people, they'll tell me they're working at a place, and then I get their resume, and that place isn't included on their resume. You're really selling yourself short if you don't include all the opportunities that you've had. Obviously, keeping in mind that you don't need a three-page resume, but looking at the relevant experience that you've had to the job that you're applying to and making sure that you've got some clear bullet points of accomplishments, of responsibilities that I can see right away instead of having to look for it at the bottom. If you've worked part-time positions at Burger King or something like that, but then you've also had some internships, I feel like the internships should kind of be at the top. Especially if they're relevant to the job you're applying to, so that we can see, okay, this was the most recent relevant experience that they've had. So, just make sure you keep that updated. Also, I can't stress enough to keep your LinkedIn profile updated, not just with, a professional picture and some general info, but all the bullet points that you have on your resume should also be on your LinkedIn profile because the way the system works, the algorithms of LinkedIn, they will look for certain keywords in your profile and they will find it and forward it to hiring managers that have jobs posted with those words in them. So if you have certain skills or accomplishments, make sure you include them on your profile as well. When I post a job, LinkedIn will send me an email that says, here's some profiles that you might want to look at, or here's some great people that may be awesome for your job. And so it's doing work for you. The more information you have on it, the better. And then, you can also attach media if you have, if that's something that's relevant to what you're looking for, or things that you've done. But there's just a lot of different features that help you to market yourself and connect with others. And so, one of the greatest ways to try to, especially a place like sports industry, is to kind of have, connections with people, having someone like a person, an individual that you can reach out to, is really helpful. Utilize your career center. So I think you're all doing that right now, to make sure if you need help to reach out to someone that you have those resources. I know some schools they do mock interviews with organizations, for their students so that I used to go to Lafayette and sit for a day and meet with a bunch of students and do kind of like a mock interview and give them feedback and on how they can improve. And that was something I thought was really cool that they offered that service. Don't sleep on your volunteer experiences, especially if they're relevant to the job you're looking for. I can tell you that maybe about 50% of our seasonal associate roles involve some sort of event planning experience. If you've done volunteer work that is set up or breakdown, or let's say you helped with a 5K, like setting it up or volunteering, that's an event. Make sure you include that. Don't over embellish, but don't sell yourself short because we know that when you're in school, the internships are important. But if, let's say, you're an athlete and you haven't had the opportunity to do as many internships, those volunteer experiences are really helpful. Make connections and keep in contact with former supervisors and coworkers. Personalize those reach outs so it's not robotic. Hi, I just wanted to check in and see how you are. If you worked with someone previously and you really like them, definitely stay in touch with them. That's how I have my job with the Eagles. I really just had a great working relationship with my supervisor, and I made sure to stay in touch with her over the years. And that's how I came to find out that she had an opening. So you never know where it could lead, but it certainly isn't going to hurt you to stay in touch. I know we all know this, but no typos or on your resume or cover letter or thank you notes. Have a second set of eyes on everything because sometimes, you're trying to get something out, you're excited about an opportunity, maybe you just had a great interview. I can't tell you how many people sent thank you notes with typos in them, and then it just kind of was like, oh, it kind of takes away from that effort. The thank you notes are appreciated. Cover letters are appreciated. In our case, they're required. So take the time to make it catered to what you're applying to. Make sure you're not sending it to like, the New England Patriots if you're applying to our job. I know people have done that before where they have a cover letter, obviously, that they use for other sports teams. They forgot to take off who it was to, and then they left the other team on there. So that's an automatic rejection in a lot of cases, which is unfortunate. You can join networking groups and events online and in person. For example, like our virtual series. I know the Vikings do something similar. The Buccaneers do something similar. There's a lot of opportunities out there to learn virtually, or even if it's just, a weekend or something where they have students or young professionals out for the day to learn from their managers. Just keep connecting and following different teams if you're looking specifically for sports so that you can find out about those opportunities. And then just finding that balance of being unique and reaching out without being overbearing. I know they say to be persistent and to follow up, but you don't want to be that candidate that's sending a follow up to everyone in the organization, including the president, which we've had this happen before, every week asking the same thing. And then, eventually you have to say, hey, I'm the contact for this. We have your resume. You do not need to keep emailing us. We want persistence. I can tell you about some cool things. Like someone actually wrote their resume out on a physical football and sent it to the office. I thought that was really unique and cool. And as much as I couldn't like put it in a filing folder or anything, I kept it at my desk and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll call this person when we have something. I thought that was actually really interesting. We had someone send their old jersey to us. That was weird. It was like an old battered Eagles jersey they sent with their resume. It did make them stand out, but not in a necessarily a great way. And then I did reach out to them to say if they wanted their jersey back because I didn't want them to be without that. But yeah, all kinds of interesting things have happened over the years. I did have our HR director had someone send cookies to the office. They had their face put on the cookies. They had his face put on the cookies from his LinkedIn picture, and that really scared everyone. So try to find that balance. Um, Applying to the positions that are best suited to your strengths, your interests, and your qualifications. I can't stress this enough because we can see, the positions that you've applied to within the same organization. So, we're going to post 24 jobs. Do not apply to all 24. Look at the ones that are really interested. I know a lot of people say get your foot in the door. We don't really like that too much because I want to hear that someone's a hard worker and they're interested in having a career in sports. That's great. I think it's really important for you to find out through different experiences what department specifically you're interested in. Because, there are a lot of different jobs. They're very different from each other that require different strengths, and most of all, different interests. So, applying to all of them tells me that you don't really know what you want to do, that you just want to be there. But I want the best corporate activation seasonal associate. I want the best graphic designer. I want the best, I want someone that wants to do that job. So, as many academic internships or volunteer opportunities you can do to kind of figure out what do I like doing, and then looking at those descriptions and applying to those. There's a lot of similarities between some of our roles, like corporate sales, corporate activation, marketing, premium sales and services. They're all very similar. So if someone's applying to all of them, that's totally understandable. And community relations and Eagles Autism Foundation are also similar. So but just to kind of control how many you are applying to at once, and not just with us, but with any organization, because all the systems do that where they can, they will show the recruiter exactly how many jobs that person's applied to. And then dressing appropriately for the interview. What does that mean? It doesn't necessarily always mean a full suit, but it definitely isn't a hoodie. A jacket, a polo, a dress, whatever. It doesn't have to be a dress. It's just something professional. And once you are hired, yes, it's business casual, but you're presenting yourself and making a first impression. I think a jacket, or something somewhat dressy is never going to be wrong. So, And then, yes, following up with a personal thank you is appreciated. Like I said, whenever someone sends me a thank you note, I forward it to everyone else that's involved in the interview process just to be like, hey, by the way, I got this. And sometimes they'll respond with, I got one too, and they got a different one. And that was like, that makes them stand out even more, that it was personal. So, we do discuss these things. It is appreciated. And sometimes, if that's the only person that sent the thank you, that makes them stand out above all the other candidates. So, something to keep in mind. Some of the things that we're looking for, I know we're going to talk about like transferable skills. These are some of the general qualities, like just to be successful in a sports organization, the Eagles specifically, excellent personal and communication skills. Um, we interact with each other a lot with different departments. Every department in the organization will reach out to me at some point, and being responsive is important because they know they'll get a response from me. They know that they'll reach out to me because I'll get things done for them, and be friendly and pleasant, and so that things can get done. Um, Multitasking, being organized. I'm not the most organized person, but you have to a certain point, be organized so that you don't lose the work that you've done, so that you can be an efficient worker. Sports, is one of those funny businesses where sometimes you'll be going 100 miles an hour in this direction, and then they'll be like, "Stop! We're not doing that anymore. We're doing this now, and now you have to go this way, fast." And so you just have to kind of roll with it. And so that, it takes a certain kind of personality for that, patience, and just, okay, that's what we're doing. That's what needs to get done for the team. That's what we're doing now. Even though I did all this way, we have to go here. So, it's exciting and it's fun and it's fast paced. But that's just comes with the territory. So, action oriented, following through. I know if someone from football operations needs something, because I support the business ops, but sometimes football for certain things. If they need something, it gets done right away because the football ops department is in a different situation a lot of the time where things need to get done right away. So, you just kind of start to read the room and realize, how responsive you need to be, but being responsive is always important, and just following through as soon as you can to get the job done. We talked about the internal relationships with the different departments. I also have external relationships, obviously, with different colleges, with different, vendors that we use like LinkedIn and Greenhouse, and trying to manage those as well. You are representing the organization that you work for when you go out there in the world. And so how you present yourself on the phone, how you treat people, it matters, because it's a reflection of all of us. We had someone years ago. I mean, I've been with the team for a long time, so there was someone that just wasn't very easy to talk to, and the vendors had never had such a bad experience in talking to someone. That didn't go well. Like that's not someone that's gonna to last in the organization, because it's just not who we are and how we want to be represented. So, just being a positive and professional representation of the brand and organization. Um, and then just someone that's really interested in gaining hands-on work experience within a specific department. So I know I mentioned this before, and it's hard to figure out exactly what you want to do, but having at least a general idea of, I do like helping to organize things, or I prefer to be behind a desk and not interact with people. You kind of have to figure out what you like doing each day so that you're not just applying to get a job, but we want to make sure that I'm not interviewing you to just make sure you fit us. We want to make sure that we're a fit for you. So it's just as important because, we like to keep people here a long time. Um, and then, the game days and non-traditional hours are something that just comes with the territory of working in sports. As I mentioned, all the positions are on site. Most of them require game days. Sometimes that means a holiday. So we also own our stadium. We have events at the stadium like concerts, and sometimes it requires helping to work those as well. All right, and that's a QR code to, I believe, I'll make sure this is updated. Um, yes, that goes to our career site. which you can access through PhiladelphiaEagles.com. But I'm going to take this off now. And so I know I talked at you a lot, but I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have. I don't want to butcher your name. So, how do you want, go ahead.
Uh, Hello? Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes.
Hi, nice to meet you. My name is Gunjan Silwal. It's pretty phonetic actually, so it ends up
Good. Oh, okay.
yeah, it's
Great.
pretty phonetic. Just wanted to say thank you so much for this briefing. I really appreciate it. I know everyone here does as well. Um, 8-year Air Force veteran. I just kind of wanted to ask, one of the things is I just recently transitioned out of the military, so I transitioned out this past August. And one of the things that I've been kind of struggling with is kind of figuring out that, I was an aircraft mechanic, so a lot of my skills don't transition into the sports industry really well. Um, but one of the things I wanted to say is that what are some things that we can do when it comes to listing on our resumes and applications from our service that do help us stand out? Because I know I have a lot of experience. It just might not. It's difficult for me to kind of fit that in as a student that's studying journalism to figure out, okay, how does my experience as a mechanic or a manager transition into sports and creating content?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And it's a challenge, right? So because I think sometimes it's an overwhelming amount of skills where it's like, oh, this person's just so overqualified. They're going to be so bored doing this or that. But I think, some of the things that like a strong technical aptitude or picks things up quickly, very hands-on learner, someone that's action oriented, someone that's a sense of urgency, like those are some of the things that you might want to list and that you want to talk about in your cover letter. Because I think, we'd also want to know what is it that you're interested in. So you're going to school for journalism, and then are you
Yes, ma'am.
looking for like communications or PR? What are you looking to do with that once, like what's ideal for you once you graduate?
I think for me personally, I'm kind of looking more towards the commentating role, so like play by play as well as color. I know for those roles, that kind of ends up depending more on the different big sports networks as well as obviously kind of starting off slow, but just kind of being able to shadow and work behind the scenes as well as I kind of build up my portfolio for that would be kind of
Yeah.
my goal for it. So just anything when it comes to the communication industries would be perfect in terms of what I'm looking at.
Yeah. And I think, doing play by play, it's someone that is very detail oriented, right? It's someone that is very quick to be able to respond. And so, I mean, to the best of your ability, maybe listing that in a cover letter or listing that, when you apply to something, as you get your degree and gain relevant experiences to journalism, or if you've done side projects or freelance on the side, like while you're in the military or anything like that, or anything you've written on your own. I know usually a lot of like I said, a lot of positions in communications, they do want some sort of samples of writing or
Mhm.
things you've done. Anyway, you can get involved on your own, like while you're still completing your degree so that you can build.
In that case, would you then, so like looking at, I guess just thinking about my resume in general, would you then list kind of the things that I'm doing in college first and then having more little smaller blurbs about like my military service in terms of like, not mainly focusing on like the mechanic side of it, but like, managed or trained a certain amount of people, stuff like that?
Yeah, I do think that that would help. Like those, you'd want to have a couple of resumes, and for that specifically, the communication with the other team members, any writing that you had to do. I'm sure you had to log things, and
Hmm.
but not discounting it in any way, making sure you have it there. But if you are starting to transition, then having whatever you've done relevant first to that job, and making sure to include everything else as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
And they do have, you know, like a lot of teams do have like PR
Hmm.
game day positions that are not full-time permanent, but wherever you can gain that experience is usually helpful. But it shows that you have a genuine invested interest in it. I think is helpful too.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am.
Hi, Adrian. Go right ahead. You're on mute there, Adrian.
Sorry, it was a yellow background, so I didn't see the hand.
That's it. There you go.
Hi, Colleen. Thank you so much for your time coming out to speak with us. I really appreciate it. You mentioned that there were some media positions within those 32 positions that you're releasing. So I was just curious, in what sections do you foresee any positions within social media management or anything related to that, I guess, discipline?
Yeah, so we do. So it depends. Like certain years we'll have a social media seasonal, and certain years we won't. We may end up having a permanent position that we'll be posting that might take the place of the seasonal role, looking for something more experienced. So we do on certain years have it. We will have a digital seasonal that's focused on like digital content. So not necessarily social media, but some of the content that goes on our website, like some of the longer content, and articles that go on PhiladelphiaEagles.com. That department, we put out a lot of content in many different ways, obviously. And so there's definitely, production and digital and social. And so specifically this year, I believe it will be more of like a general digital role that's more on like articles, not social media platforms.
Thank you so much. So you mentioned that you have a in-house production team. Do you also foresee any opportunities? I have a production background as well. So
Mhm.
do you foresee any opportunities coming down the pike within that discipline?
Yeah, and so I don't know, have you taken a look at there is a brochure on our website that has a lot of the descriptions on it right now. They're not active postings, but they are like if you wanted just an idea of some of the descriptions, we will be posting something in production as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, Andrew.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Hey, Colleen, thanks for your time. And this presentation has been great. I've been an Eagles fan since I was like 4 years old, so I would have been here regardless of the topic. But I'll be graduating with my MPA, my Master's in Public Administration, in May. So this seemed really timely too. And I was just wondering, so I did 12 years in the Air Force. I have my change management certificate as well, and I just was wondering. Um, are there positions for like internal like consulting almost stuff like that, like organizational management type positions within the organization as well? Or I just know it's more complex as a football organization because like a lot of there's like football analytics positions, but then I wondered if there were like business analytics positions and stuff like that too.
We do have an email. So on the business side, we'll have an email marketing associate role, and their job is to help analyze the success of a lot of our like our different campaigns on the business side. And so looking at that data. So that's probably the closest thing, like as far as like on the roles that are coming out next week.
Thank you. And then I wonder too if you gave us really good examples of like the do's and don'ts for like things to send you guys. But I was curious about cover letters because I feel like that's something, some employers don't even ask for one. So I was just wondering like some examples you have of like cover letters that were like a really good example for us to hear about.
Yeah, we do require them for the application process. And honestly, it doesn't even need to be that long. I think sometimes it's just, at least, first of all, grammatically correct and just a little bit about maybe what your motivation is or what's bringing you to want to apply for this opportunity. So that, that it was some thought put into the application.
Do Theo?
Hello. Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you for the presentation. It was really wonderful. I just a question about portfolios for like digital asset management or production. What kind of stands out when you're first looking at a portfolio in comparison to other portfolios? What kind of stands out most within those first, minutes looking at it?
So I honestly am not the one that's looking at the portfolio. So I will tell you that the nice thing, our hiring managers are very involved in the process. So I will make sure that the portfolios are included in the application for them to review, but they are very much in the application process of looking at the portfolios and seeing how it best fits the organization. So for digital asset management and photography, it would be a photography type of portfolio because the role digital asset management is digital archiving, but they're also working on photography as well. So, if you have any photography that you've done, that's the kind of portfolio that you'd attach. Like as long as it's relevant pieces of work to what the job requires. If there's certain technical skills they're looking for, maybe having used, those skills in that work, obviously is going to help you more than if it doesn't. But as far as like from an artistic standpoint, I'm definitely not the subject matter expert on that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Do we have any other questions? Oh, Janina. I knew it was on Janina. I was like, Janina, I know you got a question. Go ahead, Janina.
Hi, Colleen. Thank you for sharing and taking the time to meet with us. The presentation was great. I appreciate that. I do have a question. Most of them were answered. It's regarding the portfolio as well. In that, would you suggest adding some photos of game footage that you've been to? Obviously, I was on the stands and not on the sideline, but I have some great photos from camera footage that I have been to a few games. Would you suggest adding that or keep it to professional portfolio as well?
No, I think that's actually helpful if it's sports related. I personally think so, but it yeah, I don't think that could hurt.
Okay, I just wanted to double check before executing. Thank you.
Mhm. Yeah,
Any other questions? This has been great.
good.
Anyone? Anyone? Really? Nothing? Nothing burning? All right. I'm gonna count it down.
I was going to share
Yeah, go ahead.
a link to sign up if anyone wants, to submit their resume before we post everything. It's just a way for me to kind of track interest. Um, and it goes to our applicant tracking system so that we have just like a general resume on file and information. I usually will, like when we post our series, reach out to everyone that I've met through different events throughout the year. So I can send that to you after the call if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can share it out to the students who attended today. So no problem. That's
All right,
fantastic.
perfect.
So first, a couple of things, Colleen. I mean, obviously you gave, great insight to the opportunities that are available, with the Eagles, different career pathways, different stories about your peers' success and entry into the organization. But you also provided some really great, career tips and hints. And I just think that's always a great opportunity to emphasize so from an employer. So I really do appreciate you taking the time to do that as well. So again, thank you so much for the time. If you don't mind, I'll share your contact information with the students who attended today. And again, once you get me the presentation and the link to the tracking system, I'll be sure to share that out as well.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you again. And thank you everyone for attending. And, stay tuned for more Career Connection Series topics. And thank you and have a great weekend.